The first and last. They didn't know.
These were in the days of the family doctor when he made house calls.
Right, sure. And was it the same doctor who bore all y'all?
Same doctor.
Is that right?
Old Dr. E.M. Hicks, yeah.
Son of a gun. Is that why one of your brothers ended up with the name Hicks?
No, that was my father's name. My
Is
father
that right?
was named Baxter Hicks, and so one of my brothers was named Hicks.
Well, maybe you could tell the doctor it was him. Anyway. Yeah. The opportunity to stay up in that area, and of course when you think about Francis Marion and its launching, that must have been pretty exciting for y'all. I'm not sure what year Coastal kicked off. It may have been, but it was before that, I guess, in the mid 50s there. But of course for Francis Marion, it was then the mid 60s when it kicked off. You remember those experiences?
Very vividly, and we worked very hard on it. We had a branch of the University of South Carolina that met in the Florence County Library.
Is that right?
We had gentlemen, we had several people who were very involved in it, local citizens. Mr. Rogers, who was the editor of the Florence Morning News at the time, Dr. Howard Stokes, who was ophthalmologist there in Florence. It's still the Stokes Eye Clinic. His boys and grandsons are in there now, along with others. But they were very active in it, and the entire Florence delegation was very active in it. And with the help of then Governor McNair, Bob McNair, we got the legislation through, and the Gregg family, the Wallace family, had the land where it is presently located, and thanks to their generosity, they made a gift to Francis. It was Francis Marion College then, to the college to build the facilities that are there now.
They donated the land?
They donated the land, the Wallace family there.
That's tremendous.
Yeah. And that's how it all got started, and it's a really good institution. The present president is Dr. Fred Carter.
Of course, yes.
And
we've been with a number of times.
He's just a great fellow and a good president, and does a wonderful job for Francis Marion University.
Absolutely.
But you know, now I'm on the board down here at Coastal Carolina University.
I don't think I knew
the foundation
that.
board.
The foundation board.
Yeah, so I'm wearing two hats. I still support Francis Marion University, but I'm also very involved now with trying to help Coastal Carolina University.
Right next door, I'd say right next door. Of course, Horry Georgetown Technical College next door, and that's a good segue into your support also of Florence Darlington Tech. And then next door to Horry Georgetown Tech, right out here at the Coastal Workforce Center, is Coastal Carolina. Beautiful campus. Just, about 2 weeks ago, we were out on that beautiful Saturday, April 28th at Coastal for the 3-mile Walk America for the March of Dimes. More than $300,000 raised to fight prematurity here in the Palmetto State. But it is fascinating to think.
I saw your picture in your present issue of Ron Engel and Dave Bennett, who participated in your
That's exactly right. The one that came out last Thursday, and so much is happening. It's amazing when you think about the university there. He and the two of them together have done so much together as a team. Obviously, Dr. DeCenzo was out at the walk with his family, and Eddie Dyer, so many folks that helped make that walk successful. John Locks was with us earlier this week, the new director of the MBA program. Very exciting to see the things happening out at Coastal, David.
I got to give Dave Bennett a plug.
Yeah,
He's not only a great football coach for Coastal Carolina University, and frankly, I just hope we can keep him because he's so good.
Oh, yeah.
Some larger school is going to come along, and it's going to be very difficult to keep him. But I have never known, and I've known a lot of football coaches, but I've never known a football coach to get so involved in helping the local community.
Yes.
You can call on Dave Bennett, and he will work with you and help you any way he can possibly do it. He's involved in Juneau with March of Dimes and numerous other charitable
tons of
things.
school groups. I saw
and he doesn't have to do all those things. He doesn't get paid for those things.
Sure.
He may get paid for some endorsements.
Probably many more to come over the years.
And I hope so. He's a good guy.
And a PD native with deep roots in Cheraw, or Chesterfield County. That's right. I think he said we were with him not long ago at Ripley's Aquarium when he was in talking about Walk America. He was the honorary chair not only this year, but last year and maybe even the year before. I think he said his older or younger brother is the head of the rec department there in Chesterfield County, and very active up there. And of course his dad's living up there. You know, his mother recently passed away and been a tough hit, but great that his large family here, the Coastal Carolina family, and of course the team wrapped around him and made last season so successful in her honor. A lot of great roots in the PD that have expanded down to the beach. Do you have family in the area, David, still? Of course, you mentioned a lot of your brothers. Any children of your own?
Oh, yeah, I have 2 boys. I had 3 boys, and I lost my oldest son when he was a youngster.
Oh, no.
But one of my sons, Brian, is a federal judge in Florence. Bush appointed him. Very proud of him. Have another son that practices real estate law down at Surfside.
Is that right?
Yeah. And
great.
His name is Baxter Harwell. And each of them have 2 children. So I have 4 grandchildren. 2 down here, 2 in Florence. And boy, do they take a lot of time.
I bet they do. That's right.
They call and say, "Granddaddy, we're playing ball tonight. We want you to come watch us play baseball." And I try to make all these ball games. And
last time I saw you were heading over to the Pelicans field with one of your grandsons, one of your grandchildren for one of those early games. The excitement out there, it must be wonderful. It must be wonderful.
Well, I'm very proud of my family. I ought to knock on wood around here somewhere. I've never had any major problems with any of them other than just a normal teenage problem.
And of course, both of them joining the law. Had that been something, of course, your parents not having been active in political life other than your dad's service there, and all of y'all at some way or another getting active, getting out in the public, and then both of your boys here follow you in the law. Is that something they had talked about at an early age?
Well, the one that's the federal judge, Brian, has always been interested in it.
Right.
And Baxter, he didn't know what he wanted to do.
We'd like to hear that.
When he graduated from Carolina, the one that's the federal judge, I have to wear 2 hats too at the Clemson-Carolina game because the one that's federal judge is a Clemson graduate before he went to law school. The one that's a lawyer here in Surfside is a Carolina graduate of both undergraduate and law school.
Of course,
so I have to be very careful about it.
That's right.
My remarks about the Carolina-Clemson game. But anyway, what were we talking about?
That was a good segue to say, did you go to school here in the state, David? Of course, you got your law degree here.
I went to University of South Carolina Law School.
Right.
I went to the
undergraduate was somewhere fancy out west, right?
I went to the University of Texas.
That's right.
Thought I was going to be a geologist. This is a long story.
Oh, yeah, that's good. We've got a couple of minutes. We'll be back tomorrow, though.
When I was in high school, this was right after the Second World War, and everyone was patriotic, and if you had your parents' consent, you could join the National Guard. So I joined the National Guard at age 16 and went to Camp Stewart, Georgia, now Fort Stewart, Georgia, a couple of summers training.
Right.
And when I went off to college, I was supposed to have been discharged from the National Guard. Well, when I was at the University of Texas, the Korean conflict broke out. And my unit was activated.
I love it.
So I came home, and they found one little sentence in the minutes that they sent to General Dozier, who was the adjutant general, saying, "Corporal David W. Harwell, 450-0977, honorably discharged, gone to college." So they gave me my discharge from the National Guard, and then while I was there, I had a friend that played ball for the University of Texas, and he was in the Navy Reserve, and he talked me into joining the Navy Reserve with him. And so, long story short, I ended up going into the Navy, spending 2 years in the Navy, then coming back, going to law school, then getting a commission in the Air Force when I graduated from law school. So I've been in the Army, Navy, and Air Force.
That is amazing. Not many people can claim that, David. That's
but
incredible.
Anyway, that's sort of my educational background. Is back then, after 3 years of undergraduate, you could take what they called the Princeton admission test. They didn't have this LSAT then. They had, and if you did well enough on it, you could go into law school after 3 years of undergraduate. After 90 hours of undergraduate, you could go in to law school and get later a combined degree, or you could just go right straight on and get your law degree. That's what I did. And then from there, the rest is history. I went back to Florence and practiced law.
There's more to it, David, and we're going to have to get to that tomorrow. We've run out of time. Thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you. I enjoyed it.
Come back tomorrow and be with us?
Be right here.
Fantastic. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with the Honorable David Harwell coming up next. You know, not oftentimes you have an opportunity to get with somebody who has served in the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. And, of course, if you can't be with us tomorrow for part 2 of David Harwell, you can go online to carolinapeople.com in a couple weeks, watch part 2 or even watch part 1 again. Some very exciting things. Come back with us to be here tomorrow to visit, to find out what happened after that time in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and law school there at USC.